Two. Is this thing on? How are you guys doing today? I just felt like doing a little live stream. I just saw this article. I forgot where. This Steemit post that I had gone over like 3 or 4 years ago, and I just wanted to go over it again and see like how true this stuff has been. And I think it might have been. I think it might. I wonder if this is the microphone. Hello? Dude, is the microphone really on this side? Nah, that doesn't make sense. Anyways, I did a video earlier, and like the first 5 minutes, I was muffling the mic, and you could barely hear my voice. So, it sucks, but whatever. I already put it out. But anyways, I just want to see if, I think people, like, I think on Steam, you're able to kind of amend things and edit. I'm not sure if they did, but this is pretty cool. I just want to check it out, kind of go over it again, and see if it still makes sense. So hit the thumbs ups so we can get more people in here. I don't know, this might be like a 30-45 minute live stream. Kyron Paris followed me. I don't know who he is because I don't follow baseball anymore, but apparently he's on the Angels. Apparently he's the GOAT. That's what Brian Caffeine says. So I guess that's pretty cool. But anyways, also follow me on Twitter. I think my Twitter link is in the description of this video, of the live streams when I start them. So make sure you follow me there. Hey, look, hey, there's like 20 people here. Well, I rounded up. There's like 19 people. So hit the thumbs though. Thanks for being here. Let's just check this out. First of all, since we're talking about Stellar, let's take a look at that chart. Let's take a look at the Stellar chart. And I'm gonna really just try to ignore these flies because I'm in my car and there's just a lot of flies around today. So where is Stellar? The market has been going sideways, pretty much sideways. Bitcoin's kind of been drooping, slooping, kind of just hanging out, but kind of not doing much. It needs a little bit more of that good old that blue pill, you know, that Viagra. So Stellar here broke out of a bull flag, but I believe it's probably just following Bitcoin, to be honest. It did come down, Stellar came down and hit a support that I guess I drew this line here for some reason. Let me take a look at the daily. So when we look at this daily, it's kind of, I'm kind of gonna guess, like, assume that this is gonna probably go pretty sideways unless Bitcoin just completely tanks, or, you know, goes like 5-10% down. I could see this kind of taking a break and kind of selling off a little bit. Because this structure is, you know what, the thing is, I forgot about this. XRP and Stellar are pretty hard to chart. I forgot about that because they're not like the typical cryptos. They're not super organic. They're really, the price is usually dictated by news-driven events. And so that's why, of course, that's why we saw this. You guys remember that? That was what, 3-4 weeks ago when that SEC news came out? You hear that? Something's going on. Yeah, and then it just blew up. It went from Stellar went from 9 cents to like 20 cents. So like over 100% gain. And I'm glad I took profit up here. I'm really glad. It was that first day too. I was like, it was a decision. I was like, yeah, okay, you know what? I went to my hardware wallet and I got it, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna sell half. I'm selling half of my Stellar, half of my XRP, and I'm glad I did. You know, because they both came down, which I was expecting. Now, are they gonna come down any more than they already have? I don't know. Maybe Stellar looks like it could kind of come down. To be honest, I would probably expect it to come down to like 10 cents again, to be realistic. Let me draw this line here. Yeah, I'd say probably that's a good support there that it could rest on. It, and if it does, if XRP does blow up again, I know Stellar will. So you never know. It's good to have some. I'm glad I sold high up here. I think I sold it at 18 cents or something. Um, I'm glad I sold, but at the same time, now it's already come down. It's come down. Um, I'm gonna wait just a little longer and see what happens with Bitcoin before I buy anymore. Although, if I wouldn't be doing this if I had big bags or something, like if I had a lot of cash, money in the market, which I don't, I really don't. So I'm just trying to really play my cards wisely and not just be all in on something if it's going to go down again. But it does look pretty decent. It looks like a good point to maybe start to dollar cost average again. I think it might come down to like 12 cents. I can see that happening to this point here. I could see it kind of like starting to go sideways around here. But it really, like I said, it really depends on Bitcoin. Um, Bitcoin's kind of in an iffy area right now. Kind of like no one really knows. Like I'm hearing it's gonna go up. I'm hearing it's gonna go down. I have a feeling it's been up all year, and it seems like the all the good news is kind of starting to taper off. Maybe we're seeing good news, but we're also seeing bad news. I feel like we're due for a drop. I feel like we're due for a break of this support. But then, Bitcoin does this thing where it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. And it looks like, market makers are really taking charge of this market. There's not a whole lot of liquidity. I mean, if you look at this, look at all that volume, dude. There's no volume. It's just sideways. Big buys here, big buy, big buy. If you really kind of look at it, it's kind of sort of creating an ascending triangle, but it's not one that I really trust because look, and I'm talking about Bitcoin, because if you take a look at this here, it actually kind of looks like it would be a rising wedge, which is bearish typically. Okay, so let's start here, maybe right here. And it's kind of a weird looking little formation. You don't see this kind of formation very often. What I was expecting it to do, but it didn't, was I was expecting to see an inverse head and shoulders here. Down here, here's the head, and then I was really expecting it to do that if we were going to see a more of a optimistic, like clean cut bullish signal, but we didn't. And it's kind of like I don't know if this is organic or what. I think the last pump that we saw was due to probably the XRP news. The whole market seemed to go up, but lately we did have the curve hack, which really that dragged Bitcoin down. So DeFi is not looking super good right now. But Chainlink, Chainlink saved the whole thing from getting liquidated. Like, if Chainlink's price feeds weren't centralized or from bringing data from the outside world, it would have been a lot worse. That curve crash, it would have collapsed a lot of the DeFi coins. So, anyways, we didn't see this inverse head and shoulders, and we kept going up. And we're budging right up against this major resistance here. So I'm not expecting us to just blast through it unless there's an amount of really good news all at once that comes in. And it's just kind of hard to tell if that's going to happen anytime soon. It's almost kind of telling me that it's so slow, it is just like dragging on and on. Just like me right now, I'm like, but look, it's just kind of doing this little toppy type of thing, which I see I can see in advance it's like kind of heading up against, if we can't break up, you know, above 30,000 anytime soon, then we're probably going to just end up kind of slowly coming down, I would think. Or just kind of boom, maybe a little Bart Simpson-ish. Not too far down though, probably. I would think this is like the very, very beginning of the bull market. I think this might have been the bottom. But we also too, this is something I want to show you real quick before we get to the stellar article. I actually want to read that whole 1988 Economist article on the one world currency. But right before I do that, I'm going to show you something about Litecoin that's kind of telling. And if it follows the same pattern as last bull cycle, we would see, I did the math, we would see a $10,000, basically $10,300 Bitcoin before we see the bull market go into full swing. So that would mean we're not in the bull market yet. But it would have to do the same thing that it did last cycle. And I'll show you in just a sec. Let me get rid of this here. So I drew these lines. This is the Litecoin halving last year. On Monday last cycle. It was on August 1st. On the daily, we can check it out. It's a little more accurate. So August 1st, 2019 was the Litecoin halving. Hopefully I'm not blocking the mic. Is there people here? 19 people. That's cool. I hope we can get more. Hopefully it's not like cutting out or anything. Okay, no one is. Hey, cool. Darcy, you're smart. That was a big pump for XDC, guys. So kudos to you, Darcy, because it came crashing back down. And XDC, you know, like it pumps, but hey, sometimes XDC pumps and it doesn't stop. And it's like, where is all this money coming from? Where's it coming from? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, taking profit, any kind of profit is better than no profit or losing money. So this is the Litecoin halving. Now, when it hit the Litecoin halving hit on August 19th, we had a little bit of not August 19th, but August 2019. It rose really sharply, very briefly, and then from there on, we basically had a continuation of the bear market. And if we do the same thing this time, and we see it drop, although this was a COVID, you know, the COVID lockdown crash, which wasn't very natural, it was inorganic, and no one expected it. So I don't think that's going to happen again, but you never know. Something similar could happen. I honestly, like, I'm still expecting a blackout, which would be so terrifying and terrible for everyone. It would just completely disrupt the world, which would be worse than COVID. Who knows, guys? I don't know, man. There's so many reasons why we could have a blackout. Cyber attacks, solar flare, like an EMP, you know, and we're already starting to see cyber attacks in hospitals. They're hitting the hospitals in California and Texas, and I don't know if you guys saw that, but that just started happening, I think, yesterday or the day before. All right, so anyways, let's go back to this. The Litecoin halving just happened. It just happened like on the 1st of August, just 3 days ago. The next Litecoin halving just happened. I'll draw a little line for that too. Vertical, so vertical line here. That was on August 1st. So we'll just draw a little line there. That's good enough. And so I could see if it does follow last time, well, if it follows last time, we're going to see a pump, and then we'll see a dump shortly afterwards. But we are hitting this, like, you know, this rising wedge, and it's tapping the third time. The third time means it's for real. All right, so it could either hit this third time and then come back up, a third time on the top, and then crash from there, or it could just there might not be any buyers anymore. You know, maybe buyers are exhausted at this point, uh, and then it might fall. Like we could see it like a little sideways kind of Bart Simpson here, coming back down to 25K. I could see that happening. That would be a nice little reset. I would not mind if the market came back down. I would like to accumulate, and I want to make as much money as I can working before the bull market starts, so I can get as much crypto as I can. So that just happened, and so last time it happened, we came basically sideways down the whole thing, and then we had that huge crash. But it did. The funny thing is that Bitcoin used that literal price right there, 10,300, 10,400, as a resistance multiple times, 3 times afterwards. And it took almost literally one whole year before it broke. And I'm saying literally one whole year. It was only 4 days. It was only 4 days until one single year from the Litecoin halving. So that's interesting, right? And this in April was the Bitcoin halving, I think, right? Yeah, April. I think April around here. This must have been the Bitcoin. I forgot what date, but that was the Bitcoin halving. But what I'm saying is that the Litecoin had a huge effect. The Litecoin halving had a huge effect on the price and the dates. So it's bizarre because literally a full year later, just like almost exactly to the day, 1 year later, it breaks that resistance. But it tried to break that resistance 1, 2, 3 times, and that Litecoin halving date and price dictated what Bitcoin did for the next year, which is bizarre. So we might want to just keep in mind that the Litecoin halving just happened again, and see what happens after that. Let's see if it dictates the date and the price of Bitcoin. So what I'm saying is that this price here might act as a resistance or support for the next however long. I don't know. 29,000 pretty much. Who knows? So if it continues and it does the same kind of like sideways down action as last cycle, it'll come down to 10,300. Bitcoin will. And that would give us a very, very big and very good opportunity to scoop up our alts very cheap, because they will crash very hard if that happens. Because that's basically that's like a 55% crash in Bitcoin price. That would be catastrophic for altcoins, guys. So just, everyone is so bullish right now, especially because of the XRP not a security ruling. Just be careful, man. Oftentimes when everyone is bullish and the excitement is there, the euphoria is there, that's when we see a big downturn in the markets. It's happened over and over, and I've been through it enough times that I'm wary of it now, and I know that it could happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but it's very possible. It is very possible. Okay. So yeah, I did sell quite a bit more of my alts just to be careful. I mean, if it does pump up and it holds, then that'll be a great entry price. So I'm playing it safe. If it does pump up and holds above here, holds above like 32, if it goes up above 35,000 and then holds right there, that is very bullish. So let's kind of let's kind of signify that right there. 35,000. That would be super bullish. Not that one. Not 35. It'd be like right around there somewhere. That would be super bullish, and I would be very comfortable buying my favorite alts, which I've got about 7 or 8 that I want right now. I mean, I want a ton of them, but there's a few that I really want, and I have already. I just sold a lot of them into like U.S.D for the time being, because you never know. I'm just playing it safe. I'm not going to lose much money by doing that. I'm only going to keep money by doing it, really. So unless Bitcoin just blows up, unless XRP just blows up out of nowhere again. But we did, you know what? We saw the biggest news that XRP has had in like 3 years, and it only went up a 2x. It only went up 100%. So I mean that in itself is like, that sucks, man. I was hoping it would go up more. Maybe it will. Maybe it still has a lot more to go, like it did in 2017. You know, it took a little rest for a few weeks and then it blew up again. You know, who knows, man? But at this point, it is still following Bitcoin, because the last maybe week or so, Bitcoin's kind of been going down, and so has XRP. You know, so we can take a look at XRP too, and see that it's following Bitcoin. See, I mean, you don't see a big pump like that without it coming back down to retest. It just doesn't happen. Look, let's take a look at the XRP history. It always comes back down. You know, went up and came back down sharply, and then it went up again. So this could go up this could go up soon. It looks like it's about 60% down from the very top here. That's about 60%. A lot of times that's a good marker for where people will start buying again for maybe a dead cat bounce. That's typically what would happen. So this might actually be a good point for it to bounce again. And it would bounce hard, I bet. I bet it would bounce hard. But we would need to see, look at that red volume. We'd need to see a lot of green volume, not a little volume. Because if it's just a little volume, that means there's not a lot of open interest. There's not a lot of buyers. There's just a few big buyers, you know, which is still good, but we want the masses buying if we're going to look for an XRP bull market. But, you know, like I did show you, the upside down BART is kind of it basically played out exactly. Yeah, went all the way back up. The upside down Bart Simpson head, and that's a pretty damn good one too. But that did signify like the beginning, hopefully the beginning of this XRP bull market. A few weeks ago with the SEC, the judge ruling, because when you look at that chart, you know, it needs to break this resistance. Watch, I'll show you this line here. Hopefully my internet is good. Let me see, 5G, okay. Hopefully it's not cutting out. I really hope not. So right here, all the way down to there, almost exactly, it needs to break. It needs to break and hold, like above 66 cents. It needs to break up and hold up here. It really does. So if it does that, you know, I have a feeling it could even come up again all the way up, you know, maybe 85 cents or something. But I would, you know, I'm assuming it'll probably come up to like 66 cents, maybe like 82 cents. It could even fake us out, pop up again above this resistance here. And this is a multi-year resistance. Like this is a 5-year resistance, guys. 5-year resistance. You know, it hasn't gone up above it ever since. Ever since 2018, the very beginning of 2018, and that was the big pump that ended the whole bull market in the whole 2017 bull market. XRP was the last one to give it a last hurrah, like, and it just had a huge blow off top back then. So it hasn't broken that since. Now, hopefully with the news, you know, because it basically the SEC like screwed up the bull market for XRP last bull market. It really just halted the whole bull market for XRP. So we'll see. I mean, now that we have that clarity, it should be a very strong alt this next bull market, I'm assuming. And you know, it just makes a lot of sense. Now this time around, I'm very careful. I'm a lot more careful than I was last time, because you learn, you know, you go through a lot and you learn. So I'm a little more, not pessimistic, but just weary, just kind of like, I want to play my cards right and not. Last time I was all in on. I had crypto. I was all in on crypto for years before the bull market even started, because I was dollar cost averaging, and that's fine. But this time I don't know how much longer I have to dollar cost average, so I'm kind of playing my cards to where I have cash on the side before, you know, because I don't know if the bull market's here yet. I don't know. Seems like it, but then again, a lot of times when it seems like it, it's not. It's just happened over and over again, and you just learn. You live and learn. Um, so with that said, Stellar, I don't know. It looks like it's on that support. You know, you see this wick down. It's right there. And this was a very strong buying point back then. But then it just came right back down. It took a while. But this support here at like 13 cents, pretty strong support. But then again, like I said, if it just follows Bitcoin. So we could see it come down to 10 cents again. And I'm talking about Stellar. You know, it'd be a healthy retracement. And I wouldn't mind because it would give me time to, you know, to accumulate. So, so yeah, I mean, but if it does hold, if it breaks like about 20 cents and it holds above, whoo, yeah, then I would feel comfortable putting a lot of money, like most of my money into it. Because I think Stellar is going to rock and roll, you know, when the time's right. I am in this one though, LSS. The chart, I like LSS. It's a low cap. And this chart is so cool. I love this chart. It's an upside down head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders. And so I'm in that one. I'm just going to play this inverse head and shoulders because it broke out of a falling wedge, came and retested support. It's long time support. It came and retested that support down here. And I think it's really cool. They stop hacks before they happen. But they're very small and unheard of so far. Even though NASDAQ put out an article on them just a few months ago. So I'm pretty good with these inverse head and shoulders. And I'm very confident in this coin. It's a cool company, lossless. But let's go check out the XLM article here. And I don't drink Diet Coke very often, but I went to the gym and hit it. I had a back day, and man, that wears you out. You know, it wears me out. Back day, woo. So Diet Coke has a little caffeine in it. And it's hot out here too. I'm like sweating. Before you blow up the chat, I know it has aspartame in it. I'm trying to quit, but it's the easiest way for me to get some caffeine besides coffee. I drank 2 cups of coffee this morning. So anyways, this one, I'm going to just read this. I'm going to go ahead and read this. This was put out in, hold on, I can't, let's see, I'll just go to here, there. This was put out in January of 1988. They said, get ready for the Phoenix. 30 years from now, Americans, Japanese, Europeans, and people in many other rich countries and some relatively poor ones will probably be paying for their shopping with the same currency. Prices will be quoted not in dollars, yen, or D-marks, but in, let's say, the Phoenix. The Phoenix will be favored by companies and shoppers because it will be more convenient than today's national currencies, which by then will seem a quaint cause of much disruption to economic life in the late 20th century. At the beginning of 1988, this appears an outlandish prediction. It still is to many people. Many people can't even wrap their head around that. And it makes sense. It's still probably going to take a long time for that to happen. We would need some kind of apocalypse in the financial system, which might happen. Who knows? You know, things are looking like it could happen. So, we would need that financial system to like just burn down swiftly, very fast, like out of nowhere, and then they would just, out of desperation, they would pull something like a one world currency, that would be like Hegelian dialectic. That would be completely planned out if that happened. The governments of the big economies tried to move an inch or two towards a more managed system of exchange. Proposals for eventual monetary union proliferated 5 and 10 years ago, but they hardly envisaged the setbacks of 1987. Let me just do this here. Yeah, Okay, so the governments of the big economies tried to move an inch or two towards a more managed system of exchange rates, a logical preliminary, it might seem, to radical monetary reform. For lack of cooperation in their underlying economic policies, they bungled it horribly and provoked the rise in interest rates that brought on the stock market crash of October. These events have chastened exchange rate reformers. The market crash taught them that the pretense of policy cooperation can be worse than nothing, and that until real cooperation is feasible, example, until governments surrender some economic sovereignty, further attempts to peg currencies will flounder. But in spite of all the trouble governments have in reaching and harder still sticking to international agreements about macroeconomic policy, the conviction is growing that exchange rates cannot be left to themselves. Remember that the Lure Accord, I don't know if I said that right, and its predecessor, the Plaza Agreement of September 1985, were emergency measures to deal with a crisis of currency instability. Between 1983 and 1985, the dollar rose by 34% against the currencies of America's trading partners. Since then, it has fallen by 42%. So, I mean, that's what would happen if all the currencies just failed, and that's what we're expecting most of the currencies to fail. And so that would make the dollar stronger because everyone uses it as the world reserve currency. But that would not last for too much longer. It would rise just like it did back then, but then it would fall by much more. That's what I'm expecting. That's what most of the controversial economists, like economic, professionals, are kind of predicting. Um, Such changes have skewed the pattern of international comparative advantage more drastically in 4 years than underlying economic forces might do in a whole generation. In the past few days, the world, and where is it? Oh, hold on. In the past few days, the world's main central banks, fearing another dollar collapse, have again jointly intervened in the currency markets. Market-loving ministers, such as Britain's Mr. Nigel Lawson, have been converted to the cause of exchange rate stability. Japanese officials take seriously the idea of EMS-like schemes for the main industrial economies. Regardless of the lure's embarrassing failure, the conviction remains that something must be done about exchange rates. Something will be, almost certainly, in the course of 1988. And not long after the next currency agreement is signed, it will go the same way as the last one. It will collapse. Governments are far from ready to subordinate their domestic objectives to the goal of international financial stability. Several more big exchange rate upsets, a few more stock market crashes, and probably a slump or two will be needed before politicians are willing to face squarely up to that choice. This points to a muddled sequence of emergency followed by patch up followed by emergency, stretching out far beyond 2018, except for two things. As time passes, the damage caused by currency instability is gradually going to mount. Oh yeah. And the very trends that will make it mount are making the utopia of monetary union feasible. The new world economy. The biggest change in the world economy since the early 1970s is that flows of money have replaced trade in goods as the force that drives exchange rates. As a result of the relentless integration of the world's financial markets, differences in national economic policies can disturb interest rates, or expectations of future interest rates, only slightly, yet still call forth huge transfers of financial assets from one country to another. These transfers swamp the flow of trade revenues in their effect on the demand and supply for different currencies, and hence in their effect on exchange rates. As telecommunications technology continues to advance, these transactions will be cheaper and faster still. Swift? Now Swift is a dinosaur. With uncoordinated economic policies, currencies can get only more volatile. That trend is another of ever-expanding opportunities for international trade. This too is the gift of advancing technology. Falling transport costs make it easier for countries thousands of miles apart to compete in each other's markets. The law of one price, that a good should cost the same everywhere, once prices are converted into a single currency, will increasingly assert itself. Well, it hasn't happened yet, but we'll see. Politicians permitting, national economies will follow their financial markets, becoming ever more open to the outside world. This will apply to labor as much as to goods, partly through migration, but also through technology's ability to separate the worker from the point at which he delivers his labor. Indian computer operators will be processing New Yorkers' paychecks. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Everything's outsourced nowadays. In all these ways, national economic boundaries are slowly dissolving. As the trend continues, man, imagine, I was only 2 years old when this was written, but imagine what it was like back then. I'm sure some of you were, can remember back then. Some of you guys probably, but everything was so different, wasn't it? I mean, I know the 90s, that was fun, but things were different back then, man. Okay, so in all these ways, national economic boundaries are slowly dissolving. As the trend continues, the appeal of a currency union across at least the main industrial countries will seem irresistible to everybody except foreign exchange traders and governments. In the Phoenix zone, economic adjustment, okay, I gotta download the second one real quick. It's not gonna take long. Give me a sec. Just download this so I can zoom in on it. Okay, there we go. Adjust shifts in relative prices would happen smoothly and automatically, rather as it does today between different regions within large economies. The absence of all currency risk would spur trade, investment, and employment. Oh, by the way, I wonder who this is written by. I didn't even think about that. The Phoenix zone would impose tight constraints on national governments. There would be no such thing, for instance, as a national monetary policy. The world Phoenix supply would be fixed by a new central bank, descended perhaps from the IMF. The world inflation rate, and you know what? I'm not even going to say it. Never mind. The world inflation rate, and hence within narrow margins, each national inflation rate would be in its charge. Each country could use taxes and public spending to offset temporary falls in demand, but it would have to borrow rather than print money to finance its budget deficit. With no recourse to the inflation tax, governments and their creditors would be forced to judge their borrowing and lending plans more carefully than they do today. This means a big loss of economic sovereignty, but the trends that make the Phoenix so appealing are taking that sovereignty away in any case. Even in a world of more or less floating exchange rates, individual governments have seen that their policy independence checked by an unfriendly outside world. Okay. As the next century approaches, the natural forces that are pushing the world towards economic integration will offer governments a broad choice. They can go with the flow, or they can build barricades. Preparing the way for the Phoenix will mean fewer pretended agreements on policy and more real ones. It will mean allowing, they're talking about globalism, It will mean allowing and then actively promoting the private sector use of an international money alongside existing national monies. That would let people vote with their wallets for the eventual move to full currency union. And when they say union, they mean a one world currency. The Phoenix would probably start as a cocktail of national currencies, just as the special drawing right is today. In time, though, its value against national currencies would cease to matter because people would choose it for its convenience and the stability of its purchasing power, just like they choose the U.S. dollar for convenience and the stability of its purchasing power. It would be, the world reserve currency. The alternative to preserve policymaking autonomy would involve a new proliferation of truly draconian controls. Wait, what? Okay. The alternative to preserve policymaking autonomy would involve a new proliferation to truly draconian controls on trade and capital flows. This course offers governments a splendid time. They could manage exchange rate movements, deploy monetary and fiscal policy without inhibition, and tackle the resulting bursts of inflation with prices and incomes. It is a growth crippling prospect. You know what? It feels like they're lying. Pencil in the Phoenix for around 2018 and welcome it when it comes. Well, 2018 is come and gone. But things do change. It was written a long time ago, like 35 years ago. So a lot has happened between then and now. So I'm assuming, like, when they say 2018, around this time, probably within a decade of 2018, or maybe within 5 years. And we do see the cryptocurrencies, the blockchain, becoming prevalent. Everyone's talking about Bitcoin now. And then now, XRP being a security, being held back. I don't know why they did it. There's definitely a lot more to the story. A whole lot more to the whole story about the SEC suing Ripple, over XRP being a security. There's a lot more to it. I don't know exactly why they did it. I don't know if they wanted to hinder it and kind of stop the whole bull market when it comes to XRP. I don't know if they're going to use it. I don't even know if they're going to use it. I don't know if they're actually going to, these banks, JP Morgan and Fed now, I don't even know if they're going to use blockchain. I don't even know if they want to use blockchain, or distributed ledger technology. I don't know if they really want to. They're centralized, and they don't really, they probably don't want a disruptor winning out, They're probably going to just create their own, So it's hard to say. It's really hard to say what's going to happen. But these are, it's interesting that they can predict things like so far ahead of time. And it's not even predicting. It's just them telling you their plans, kind of giving you a little sneak preview, I guess. But the thing is, plans change, especially when, geopolitical events can really change things. And the will of the people too, they can't get away with everything that they could get away with back then, because we've already gone through something called the information age. They didn't have internet back then, or very few people did. So we've gone through this thing called the information age, where we figured out that we can actually share whatever information we want with whoever we want around the world as fast as we want, especially nowadays, instantly. All it takes is an email, or on social media, a DM. That's all it takes. It's so easy to share any information you want. And well, of course, we've seen the censorship. We've seen all the censorship already. Dude, I'm getting bit up by mosquitoes left and right. I'm so itchy right now. Sorry. I got distracted. Damn mosquitoes. So, who knows, man? I mean, but they've been really trying to censor a lot. And it's crazy, because there are still a lot of people out there who they tend to agree that these elite people, maybe they should just know more than we do. Maybe they do know. Maybe they are smarter, but it's like, dude, no. They're trying to hide something. Why do you think they're trying to hide their plans from you? Why are they trying to hide the truth from you? Do you think they're your friend? You really think they care about the common person, common folk, where there's so many of us, right? And then anyone who makes it up that high, they have a huge head. They're just they live a whole different life, and they want to keep that position. And to do that, they need to make sure that they know more than we do about their plans, They need to make sure we stay down here, as many of us as possible. They're very selective at the top for who actually makes it up there. And when they do make it up there, it's a group, it is. It's a club. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. In the words of George Carlin, it's a big fucking club and you ain't in it. And they want to keep it that way, you know, that way it's more centralized and they have more control. They want to keep that control. And this, so they, a lot of it's even unspoken. They don't have to tell each other plans. They don't have to tell each other how to act. If you made it up that high, you did it by acting a certain way and having a knowledge about how to be in public and what you say. Be very careful with your words. Very smart. These people are very, very smart. Anyways, let's go back down to this article here, this Steemit article, and see what he says. So he did update in 2019. It looks like it was March 28, 2019. Found errors in this article. Please disregard for the time being. Okay. So January 9th, 1988, The Economist released the Get Ready for a World Currency edition of their weekly print, featuring a phoenix standing atop numerous paper currencies which had been set ablaze. And that's where, you know, obviously that's where digital currency comes in. So the phoenix will be favored by companies and shoppers because it'll be more convenient than today's national currencies. And obviously that's true. People do. The average person definitely values convenience. That's why we have our smartphones. That's why, I mean, look, everything is so quick and convenient nowadays. What happens if we don't have internet for a whole day? I mean, it blows our brains out. We're ready to blow our brains out if we don't have internet for one single day. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking serious. I'm just giving an example of how it feels. If a page takes like more than 1 minute to load, like, yeah, maybe back in like the early 90s, but no, if that happens nowadays, I mean, steam is blowing out of your ears, right? It's like, dude, what's going on, man? Like, give me my convenience. Like, hurry up, let's go. I don't have time. I don't have time for this, you know? Because usually the stuff we do look up, and it's like not even worth that, you know? It's not worth that time, especially like social media, you know? But we still get angry about it. Luckily, like, I'm sure you guys are smart. You guys, like, just like me, well, I don't research all the time, but I know a lot of you guys that's all you do is research, and you're smart about how you use your time on the internet. So anyways, he goes, convenience matters. Fast transaction processing times are an essential component of convenience that is lacking in most distributed ledger technology projects, DLT projects. The world phoenix supply would be fixed by a new central bank, descended perhaps from the IMF. The world inflation rate, and hence, within narrow margins, each national inflation rate would be in its charge. So the new bank that came from the IMF would be completely in charge of inflation rates and the world currency. The phoenix will be, and is, inflationary. A few examples: Bitcoin, 21 million. Ripple, 100 billion. Litecoin, 84 million. Cardano, 45 billion. Zcash, 21 million. Myota, 2.8 billion. NEM, 9 billion, and Maker, 1 million, are not candidates for the long-awaited Phoenix designation due to their programmatically instilled hyper-deflationary monetary policies. Policies, many would argue, are permanent. Now, something has changed since then. Stellar put out a vote, and the Stellar Foundation voted to make XLM deflationary, and that happened like 2 years ago. So that's something that has changed since then, this article. So that's something to keep in mind. But I do think it's reversible. You know, I'm sure they can reverse that. But they've been doing some weird. They burned half the supply. I don't know what that was about. Maybe they're just trying to make money. I don't know. I don't know what that. If you know what that was about, let me know. My legs are so itchy. These mosquitoes are eating me alive. Okay, so Jim Rickards, he put out a tweet. This is, when was this tweet? September of 2018. This was a few months, let me see, this was 5, 6, yeah, this was like 5 or 6 months after I started buying crypto. And it was like a few months after I got into XRP. So Jim Rickards said, been a long day of teaching monetary economics to Girardi, but here goes. Bitcoin supply capped. Economy grows, so each Bitcoin buys more. That's deflation. Over 90% of dollar market is not base money, it's credit. Yep. No one borrows in deflationary currency. Bitcoin fails. And he's replying to Scott, who says Bitcoin is a more scarce resource than gold and has a very powerful inflation policy built into code. Less inflationary than gold, and new supply rate can't be significantly modified when price in crappy fiat increases. Incentives are stronger than any other commodity. So here's another tweet by Jim Rickards. There's a great irony in your point. Oh, and you know what? He's replying to a tweet that's unavailable, so I don't know what the original poster said. But he says inflation and deflation both detract from monetary stability and therefore utility. Zimbabwe suffered hyperinflation, but the limited supply of Bitcoin points to hyperdeflation. Both are unsuitable for money. By the way, I've been hearing about the Zimbabwe dollar, like, I don't know, probably having some of that cash maybe, just in case there is a revaluation. Like, it'd probably be worth, I mean, it would be worth it. It's very cheap right now. You can buy a lot for just so little, you know? You could buy a lot of Zimbabwe dollars. You don't need inflation to run an economy. You do need it to erase debt. And he's responding to this curious, honest question, Jim. It's not possible to run a growing economy without some inflation, correct? Anyways, let's go down. This guy, Jim Rickards, has been like, the XRP community has really liked him over the years and what he's been saying. Probably because he's an advocate of like XRP and Stellar. All of them. Bitcoin groupies think fixed supply and deflation, more value per Bitcoin are good. That it does make sense. Like $1 million Bitcoin, like how, I don't know, like no one can even afford that, you know? They're not. With deflation, there's no debt market. Without debt, there's no liquidity, no currency. Bitcoin becomes an illiquid collectible. Even gold production grows 2% per year. You know what, though, but since then, Bitcoin has grown in value. So it's really not currency. It's more like it is like a store of value. And I just rewatched a few of Michael Saylor's old interviews from a few years ago. And man, he makes some really good points. It makes me want to just like really try to get a whole Bitcoin, but at this point it's just too expensive. It's too expensive. I think I'd rather have like a few Ethereum than that, or like, you know, like 20,000 XRP or something, you know, or like, you know, what can you buy? You can buy like 100,000 Stellar. Yeah, I mean, imagine having that. You know, I had 10 million XTC. But I sold way too early. That was back when it was really cheap. I bought it when it was, the market cap was $1 million. And if I had held on to it, that 10 million XDC would be about $1 million. Well, 900,000 or so right now. I'm not easily shocked, but based on my experience at CIA, and he used to work at the CIA, and what I've seen of Hillary's email. What is this? She may headed to jail? Oh, I didn't know they were even talking about those back then. Why is this in here? Oh, okay, so Jim Rickards talks about stellar lumens. Let's see what he said about that. Contrary to the hyperdeflationary assets are the class of inflationary assets, including Ethereum, EOS, stellar lumens, and Monero. Ooh, Monero's a good one too, by the way. That's a good one. These, and the chart looks good too. Chart looks really good. These assets, by measure of the inflation requirement metric alone, set in the Economist Phoenix article, would be eligible for the Phoenix designation. As time passes, the damage caused... Okay, I already read that to you guys. So, modern implication. The Phoenix will probably start as a platform with the capability to efficiently host central bank issued digital currencies and stablecoins. CBDCs, which we all love, right? We can't wait for those to come out, huh? Ethereum's likely too slow. Definitely. We definitely saw that in 2020. DeFi summer, 2020, 2021. Very slow, very expensive to make any transaction on Ethereum. So that is most likely going to be a store of value too. We'll see. Because it was the first mover in the smart contract space. But we'll see. I don't know, man. Ripple lacks an inflationary component and is subject to underlying stability problems. Zcash lacks technological mechanisms necessary to host national currencies on its platform, in addition to extremely slow transaction settlement speeds and hyperdeflationary monetary policy. Its current low transaction rate of 26 transactions can likely be remedied via ZK Snark transaction bundling optimizations, however. EOS seems promising. Well, I guess it seemed promising back then to some people, but I've heard a lot of bad things about it, and I've seen the chart go down and down and down. It's just a lot of, basically a trash project, like a lot of broken promises. Jesse Lund has stated he no longer holds Ethereum or XRP. Jesse Lund, I think he was one of the original creators of XRP. Okay, comparisons. Jed McCaleb designed Stellar Lumens to be inflationary, experiencing 1% yearly, contrary to the hyperdeflationary XRP. Give me a sec. Jed has recently raised the question to the Stellar community. Should we push to get rid of inflation? No action to bring the idea of removing inflation to fruition has been made public, yet to be determined if this proposed push is serious. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Yep, it happened maybe a few years ago, and they did. They got rid of inflation, and now XLM is deflationary. Stellar has a history of giving away mountains of coins away free of charge. During a world liquidity crisis, might this be seen as advantageous for a fund such as the IMF? And he's talking about, like, what are they called? Like parachutes of, what do they call them? Just like freebies, just basically like universal basic income kind of. That's kind of what we saw already, but we just saw with U.S.D. Ripple's unable to give away the vast number of coins it holds. The coins are cryptographically locked in escrow. In a crisis scenario, the coins are simply stuck. Stellar's distribution mechanism appears much less static than Ripple's. And I think they burn half their supply because Ripple, they're trying to be just, for some reason, they want to be, XLM is just like Ripple, just like XRP. And so, like, if half the supply of XRP's, locked away, and they cannot get them out. They can't get them out. It just takes time because it's in escrow. It's cryptographically stuck. So I guess they were trying to be XRP. See, that's why I'm like, dude, may as well get. I mean, if you're in the XRP like community and you have your XRP, you may as well have, like, I mean, if you have a lot of XRP, like, may as well take some of that, put it in Stellar, since every time XRP blows up, Stellar blows up even more. Makes more gains. So, like, I'd say, I mean, I know, like, there are XRP maxis out there, but I would just put at least like 25% of my XRP and just convert it to XLM. Why not? I mean, I don't see why. It follows XRP everywhere it goes, except more dramatically because the market cap is lower. Okay, the Phoenix will, in all likelihood, be outfitted to conduct private transactions, such as is available with Starlight. And then this IMF News tweet. Lagarde, new IMF research shows that with appropriate design, CBDC could meet public policy goals, including financial inclusion, security, and consumer protection. It could also provide what the private sector cannot: privacy and payments. Translation: national currencies will be built upon the Phoenix protocol. As the economic instability inherent in debt-backed fiat currencies certainly escalates over time, countries will migrate to the underlying Phoenix fallback protocol. Okay, this is May 1st, 2019. And then we go to Bearable Guy. In December 2018, Bearable Guide 123 posted a new riddle which points to early May 2019 as a day of illumination by the sun. The sun being, remember that, guys? Dang. Being well-known association of the Phoenix. Oh man, we were just deciphering left and right back then. Associated with the sun, a phoenix obtains new life by arising from the ashes of its predecessor. According to some sources, the phoenix dies in a show of flames and combustion, although there are other sources that claim that the legendary bird dies and simply decomposes before being born. This begs the question, why May 1st, 2019? Why is it special? Hold on, let's take a look at the chart real quick. Did anything happen? I don't think anything happened back then. I think we probably did have a run up, I bet, in XRP. Let's see. XRP. It was May of 2019. Yeah, we had a little run up, kind of. No, hold on. Yeah, see, we did see a big rise in price that month. I forgot. Look at that. Big rise. Big rise in price. Boom. And we were stoked. Now I remember. It was going sideways forever. And we finally saw it break this resistance. And then it popped. And we're like, this is it, 589. I'm going to lose my mind. And then, it did what it did. Kind of basically created like a little, kind of a sort of a Bart Simpson there. Came back down. But then, then we had our crash, our COVID crash, lockdown crash, and boom, 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 and then boom, boom, right here, boom. When was the lawsuit? Was it? I think it was here, and then the lawsuit, boom, back in late 2020, right? That must be the lawsuit when it went boom, crashing down. Yeah, I remember September, like the whole bull market kind of teeter-tottered out, kind of back in September of 2020. Yeah, that whole summer, see, XRP didn't do anything, but DeFi was going insane. And then by the end of the year, it blew up, and then there was a lawsuit, and it went right back down, right? I think that was the lawsuit, unless the lawsuit was in 2021. I don't remember. But you see so little volume. So these buys were by, probably institutions and maybe some like community driven events. But look at this. We finally saw our redemption here, and it blew up, hit this resistance, and now it's kind of teetering out. It's not creating like, it's not creating any kind of like formation that makes me like super bullish at all. This kind of like, because it wasn't organic. That's why it just wasn't an organic thing. I mean, I'm sure all the buying was just hype, but it was a news driven event, and I hope it does go. I hope it blows up some more, and I hope it does, man, and comes up above this support, this resistance, blows through the resistance, comes down on support, maybe comes down to like 82 cents again, creates a nice little bottom here, and then continues up and creates a parabola. That would just, even though I don't hold like as much XRP as I used to, it would still make me just so happy to see this happen, because the community has taken so much and just been dragged through the mud for years. And you guys remember how much FUD and hatred was thrown XRP's way, the community's way? I mean, they made fun of the community so much, and they're not making fun of the community anymore. So thank God for that. At least people do see that there's a reason that the community is like into this coin so much, because they knew it wasn't a security. I knew it. I've known it for like at least a year. I'm like, okay, it's definitely not a security at this point. It's just taken forever to be declared not a security. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think. Let me go back here. Let me go back to this. So why is May 1st special? Look to the current release of The Economist and its rendition of Leonardo da Vinci symbolism throughout. Notice Leonardo's backwards handwriting on the cover. Oh, and I do think Leonardo da Vinci, he wrote everything backwards, I think, in his journal, if I'm not mistaken. I remember this. Electric barcodes. Pinocchio. Who was that again? Um, I forgot who that was. China, like China, Russia, the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Stork with the barcode on it. Maybe that's like the mark of the beast or whatever. Everyone is gonna be chipped. India. You see, they're all facing Trump, and then Trump here. I'm surprised Elon wasn't on the cover for anything, but well, the electric cars are, so I guess that's representative of him. DNA upgrades, I guess. Baseball. What happened in baseball? Why was he holding a baseball? What is this? VR? VR goggles? Um, Scale being balanced unequally, basically. So not a level playing field. Voting. Oh, vote. So what is that? The British flag? Voting. I don't know. Anyways, armadillo. I don't even know the significance of most of this stuff. Um, all right, so pay close attention to the top right corner. What's in the top right corner? Oh, satellites. Christine Lagarde. Leonardo. Angelina Jolie. Laureen Powell Jobs. Stacey Cunningham. Okay, anyways. Pay close attention. Blah, 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 blah. The 500th anniversary of Da Vinci's death is May 1st, 2019. This date corresponds to the time around The Economist's first prediction of the rising phoenix in 1988, and also to the News Bearable Guy 123 Riddle, Christmas edition. The phoenix rises after 500 years of life. Oh, really? Does it? Interesting. Okay. The rise of the phoenix may be caused by the explosion of the debt bomb in the first half of 2019. Jim Rickard says, what's got stock markets on edge? It's not inflation. It's the debt bomb. Behold the four horsemen of the debt apocalypse. Tax cuts, sequester repeal, student loan defaults, and treasury interest expense. $1 trillion deficits as far as the eye can see. A similar image is presented on the cover of the Economist 2019 edition. Yeah, the four horsemen. May 1st is known as May Day, a holiday of occulted significance. Is it really? I didn't know that. Interesting. Notice how Bearable Guy 123 presented the upside down rocket. Well, that's because he doesn't like Stellar. Notice how he reversed his name on Twitter, and he created a new account called 321 Yugal Barab. Notice how Leonardo liked to write backwards. The occult law of reversal is at play. New Stellar logo. My Phoenix article was originally posted far in advance of Stellar's new logo and Medium article release. I withdrew the article out of worry for upsetting the natural balance of happenings. With Stellar now openly shadowing or showing their hand, there is little reason to withhold this information. I like the new logo a lot better. But you know what? I'll tell you what I think. It's a Freemason logo, just like the new logo for Twitter, for X. If you mirror it, it's basically the Freemason logo. Now this you see is it's a trowel. These are two trowels. And what do they use? What do Masons use? Like when they build a brick wall or something with the cement, they use the trowels. That's what a trowel is. I think that's what it's kind of designed as. Also, Saturn. The logo looks familiar. and that's the phoenix on the cover of the Economist. So, and then you see the chain and the gold. You know, it might be talking about blockchain. So, could Stellar have simply fabricated this logo to match the phoenix as a marketing play? Yeah, I still don't know about that. It's like I thought so at first, but you know, the more you look at it, they look kind of familiar, but not too much. You know, this looks more like Cosmos. That's that logo, the Cosmos logo for Atom, which I hold. I have some of that too. There's so much more to the story beyond the details presented here. The information presented herein, I don't know how you say that. I should figure that one out. Is speculative in nature and shall not be regarded as financial advice. Let's see. Jed is Satoshi? No. Jed's not Satoshi. He created Ripple. So anyways, that's the end of this article. So a lot's happened since then. But, you know, Stellar's looking strong. Stellar's looking strong. And, I mean, with that chart and, you know, Stellar and XRP have been held back the last, you know, few years just because of the lawsuit. And so if XRP is not a security, then Stellar's not a security either. Basically, because it's pretty much the same thing. You know? So, and now, see, this looks better to me right here than XRP. You know, I don't know. It looks like it could create a base right here. You know, the lowest might be like 10 cents. Unless Bitcoin crashes hard to like 10,000 bucks. You know, Richard Hart, he predicted the top of the Bitcoin market in 2021 and to the day, and he definitely brags about that like often, as much as he can. And his low prediction for Bitcoin was $11,000. So that basically adds up to it's pretty close to what I'm saying. Like, you know, if Bitcoin follows the last cycle according to Litecoin's halving cycle, then yeah, it'll come down to around $11,000, like 10,300, something like that. What is Litecoin doing anyways? I don't even have Litecoin in here. Screw it. I'm not a big fan of Litecoin. I do keep getting reminded of this one though. Rand. I don't know, man. Hopefully that something good happens with Rand. But anyways, let's see if is anyone still here. A few people. I am gonna let you guys go because I have to use the restroom and I have to eat the rest of my chicken before it goes bad. So I hope you guys had fun just checking that out. I wish I could read your comments, but I just can't do it with the mobile phone. So anyways, I'll be back with some. I watched my other video that I put out today on maybe possibly the creator of Caspa is Satoshi Nakamoto, and I put that video out earlier today. So go check that one out because it's interesting. It's interesting to think that that's a possibility. I checked him out. He's pretty cool, pretty good guy. Seems pretty humble, and he basically said on Twitter that he is Satoshi. So, but take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, go check out that video and make sure you hit the thumbs up for me if you want to support my channel. So anyways, yeah, hit the thumbs up here. Hopefully you guys have a great day. We'll see what happens, with Bitcoin in the next few days, with XRP and Stellar. It'll be telling what happens in the next week or so. I think there is going to be a big move very soon. So that'll kind of tell us where the direction is going to go, from then on out for the next few months, probably. I'm expecting it to go down, but it could go up again. It's going to have to come down at some point, I think, unless some huge event just blows up the market. Who knows? And then also, too, I mean, if we have like a blackout or something, well, it's been nice knowing y'all because we ain't gonna be able to talk to each other if we have some kind of weird blackout, there will be no communication with each other. for a while until that all gets sorted out. So just keep that in mind, guys. So anyways, you guys just be good people. Make sure you understand that God is out there taking care of you. Just put your faith in him. Keep dropping the phone. Put your faith in him, and he will take care of you. Always. All right, guys. Love you. Crypto Mike out. Peace.